The Aspiring Farmer Residency is a year-long urban farming fellowship where a group of farmer residents live, work, and grow together through a full growing season, acting as the farmer, business owner, and advocate for food sustainability in our communities.
I'm proud of finishing the program because like the middle of the program I broke my finger and I thought that was gonna be it for me, but have such an amazing crew and they helped me through it.
The willingness to like rely on other people, I feel like that's an accomplishment in itself.
The question I want to answer and help answer in a group with others is like, how can an urban setting that houses like so many people within all the miles that is like Omaha, how can like we rely on ourselves?
I learned how to grow like a bunch of food. Yeah, I know how to grow so much food and I feel like I could teach so many people.
Personally, reflecting back, I now understand that like food is not something that we should be selling. It is something that we should be growing together as a community and we should be sharing. And
a little bit of my background is I used to help my mom like yearly. She has like a garden, even like when we were living in Africa. She always had a garden and I would help her with. And when I moved into my own apartment, I started like container gardening, and I went to the coffee shop one day and I saw the advertisement for Big Money. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna apply and see what happens. Usually I never win anything or get paid for anything, so I was like, okay, I'll see. But coming into this, I didn't have no experience or like even thought I had an interest in like farming, so it was very different.
I think a lot of different things brought me to urban farming. Being in school and studying nutrition and then also studying sociology, kind of like the out of mind of the environment in sociology kind of brought me to this idea of like, there are a lot of people on this planet and like food is like how we keep living. So thinking harder and longer about just people and food and the future.
I feel like initially, like the first thing that kind of like brought me to farming and like herbalism, working with the land was like healing, really. I feel like I have like just a lot of trauma and a lot of pain, and like being able to just like work like with the land and like the soil and like the flowers and the plants and just like, I don't know, just like to be connected like that. Like it really just like grounds you in a way that I can't like with humans, I guess. Like it's more of like a, I don't know, like a spiritual connection.
I wanted to be able to like take care of myself. Along with that dream was to be able to have my own homestead one day, and that involved farming, and so that's kind of how it started.
I went to college for elementary education and then I did my student teaching, and then I realized that that wasn't the place for me. I knew that there was a better way for me to empower children and the youth, and so then I got involved with urban agriculture.
I would say you don't have to know anything, honestly. Like, you don't have to know how to do trellising, you don't have to know all the big words or any of that, because the farming community, like, they love to share. And you can go to anyone and be like, hey, I don't know how to do this. They'll be like, oh, I did this, I tried this, do that. And it's like, you don't have to know anything. You don't have to be nervous. Coming in, I was nervous, so like, you can do it.
After I had my first garden, I realized like how much I had, just like from a small area for myself, and then I had too much, and therefore it became about like giving and growing for other people as well. I was especially concerned and aware of the amount of food insecurity in the state and in Omaha specifically. The aspect of it being an urban agriculture or urban farming experience was something that I was really interested in, and being like, yeah, within the community and growing for the community. So
I went to the big garden, and that's where I like discovered this passion for like farming and children and connecting the two. But then I was like, I have no farming experience whatsoever. So then I came to Big Muddy to gain my own farming experience and what that looks like large scale. So then that way I can take what I know now and move it forward to youth or future communities that I'm in.
I will have to say at the beginning of the year, starting the year off, I didn't know like what I wanted to do like career-wise, and being with Big Muddy and learning and finishing out the whole year, I went ahead and finally signed up for classes and picked the major, Associates in Horticulture, which I didn't have before. Yeah, I want to open up my own hydroponics farm and start feeding people.
I think accomplishments is just like persistence. Yeah, just even honestly keeping up on like picking up eggs and washing them and then getting them to the walk-in is like, it's like some of the little things of farming you think are like pretty easy and like anyone can do it, but the persistence that needs to be involved with farming and like getting what needs to be done is like an accomplishment in and of itself. You got to be here for it.
Coming out on the other side is really nice, and it also shows me that like I have that perseverance, how I can rely on myself, but also how I need other people. And it's really weird, especially in a time when you're not supposed to be around people at all. So like finding that sort of support and seems even more abstract, but like those limits have been like allowed a lot of curiosity and creativity, and yeah, it's just been like a really transformative time in general. Transformation is like painful inherently in some ways, and I think like it can be really like there can be beauty in that, but it like we forget about how intense and like hard it can be also. Yeah.
I think in this world that we live in moving forward, we need a lot of community, and having food and being a part of that is what I've learned the most this year.
Also, I think so many people don't know how to like grow their own food, especially like I feel like people of color, like we're largely like cut off from that. Like you go like in like North Omaha and there's like a lot of like food deserts and like not access to like all of this fresh food. And I also like believe that to be like intentional, and I think it's a really powerful thing to like, I don't know, just make things more accessible. I think people of color, I think Black and Indigenous folks, BIPOC, I think they need like land back, and I think they need like places to like access and like explore and like reconnect with the earth, which is a practice that was like taken away from us.
Okay, aspiration I want is to learn how other cultures grow food. I feel like I largely learned one practice this year, and it was a white practice, and I want to learn Indigenous practice, Black practice, other people of color practice, because I think that that's super important.
After this year of farming, looking back, I have realized that farming is so much more than just getting produce and the yield that you can get from that. It is tending to the land, it is finding outlets for the food that you make, as well as the connections you make with them. Like, are you donating the food? Are you only trying to make a profit on it? And looking back, I would strongly encourage those to find those avenues of how are they going to connect with the community with the food that you are growing.
For new urban farmers, I would say honestly write down at the beginning of the year like your dreams and hopes and aspirations, and like if they don't match at the end of the year, that's telling, and like maybe think about that harder. Like why, you know? You're asking me all the questions of like why, and I think that's important that everyone just keep asking themselves why. You're coming into it, why are you coming into it? And then when you've finished a season, is it the same, and how can you improve and make it better? Or are you just gonna support other farmers or farming organizations who are doing what you thought you wanted to do? If it works out, amazing, and if it doesn't, also amazing. You're gonna be good at something else.
putting your seeds in the ground and like then seeing that they actually sprout is like, it feels like such a relief. You know, just like it's like, oh my God, it's working. Like all of that energy that has been put into this moment is like, and here it is, it's happening. Like being able to like be patient, have hope, and keep going.